All right. So guys, I am streaming to YouTube so you can go and watch this one whenever you like. If you want to do it over, if you want to do it in a different color, anything like that. All right. So guys, now I'm coming back. That's on YouTube. All right. Got it. I don't see anybody else because sometimes I get into the painting and somebody might try to be trying to log in and I totally miss it because I've gotten into the painting. But again, welcome everyone. For those of you who have not painted with me before, my name is Ronita. I'm a Purposeful Point. I'm based out of Louisville, Kentucky, where it's cold and they're getting ready to got the school system set up to start working from home because and looking for a cold front to come through. But I hope not. I want those kids to go to school. All right. So I am, you can normally, I talk about working on 11 by 14. Today I am working on 11 by 14, but I'm on paper because I do so many of these paintings. I'm out of room. So I was on the canvas board. Now I'm on paper. So I'm working on 11 by 14 acrylic paper. It helps, it absorbs the paint better. So that's what I'm working on, and you're encouraged to work on any size or anything that you would like. It's entirely up to you. I'm getting ready to start with my blue. You can start with your blue. Like I said, my blue is a little bit darker. You choose whichever blue works for you. And I like to use my largest flat brush for my backgrounds. So whatever you have, that's your largest brush. I've even seen, I'm going to start using that, trying that. I've seen some people use these foam brushes to do their background. So because it covers a lot of area. So if you have those, you're welcome to use that as well. But I am using a brush, I'm going to start trying to see what, work with this a little bit to see what if I like it to do that. But those are also an option. You can get those at the Dollar Tree as well. You can get a pack of them. So I am going to move this over a little bit. Hope it stays up here. That's the difference between the board. The board would stay where it's supposed to be, whereas the paper, it doesn't always do what it's supposed to be to do. So I do like to wet my brush a little bit. So I'm dipping that in water. I'm grabbing a piece of paper towel. I like my brush to be kind of wet because it helps the paint move around on the canvas or whatever surface you're using. But for me, with this paper, it kind of absorbs it. So I got to make sure I keep it a little moist. And I put it in there. A lot of people have a tendency to try to dry their brush off. I don't want you to dry it off. I just want you to dab it so that you won't have paint running down your canvas. And I am going to start with the bottom. We're going to have, it's going to be in two sections. As you can see my example, I have blue at the bottom and I also have it at the top. So I'm going to, I actually took notes on the way I'm supposed to paint this, and I don't see my notes. So I'm winging it as well. My notes are to remember how I painted it. That's what I was looking for. But let's go with my blue across the bottom. All the way across. And then you can see that I did angle it a little bit. You can see how one side of it goes up. So I want you to be conscious of that. Put that bottom layer at an angle. One side's going to be up just a little bit higher than the other side. You guys, feel free to ask me any questions. I do ask that if you do have a lot of background noise, or if you guys are having a conversation, talking through it, and a lot of people do that, like to talk through their the painting, and that's fine, but I do ask that you mute because it might not sound like a lot to you guys, but it's really crazy for us, the other listeners. Hey, Jacqueline, are you there? So I'm just getting started. We're using blue, white, and black are our colors. And I'm starting by doing the bottom. And my bottom's going to be at a little bit of an angle. You'll see that one side is up a little bit higher than the other.
Gotcha.
Hi, Diane. I heard it's like been snow and bad weather in Florida. I'm totally shocked.
That's a hoax.
Oh, okay.
At least not in South Florida.
Now I have my bottom. I didn't, you can see, I'm going to try to, how far did I go up? I came up like one side of it is about a fourth of the way up from the bottom on one side. And then on the other side is just a little bit lower at an angle. So that's where I stopped on that. And now I'm going to go ahead and go up to the top. And my top, you can see on my example, it's going to be pretty blue as I come down, probably about, is that about a third of the way down, I'll start blending in my white. So we're going to start with that blue at the top. And I know, Diane, this is probably the only snow you'll ever get. So
I mean, in South Florida, we definitely don't have snow, but it's raining.
uh-huh.
And, you know, it's kind of cold, like it was about 68 today.
Ooh, brr.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I say this painting is going to be the closest thing to snow.
Oh, this painting. Okay, got it. I missed the joke. Sorry.
And there's no right or wrong with this. Just, you know, whatever works. I did say a third of a way down. If you go further or shorter, it's your painting. There's no way. It's all blue and white. There's no way to mess it up, right?
So how far on the first painting did you go down with like dark blue that we're doing now?
I'm going to go about a third of a way down.
Okay, thank you.
Before I switch to blending with the white. Probably about a third of the way down. And if it's too far, again, that just means you can bring the white up that much further. So around. And I am using acrylic paint. That's for those of you who are first time painting. So I can only speak on acrylic paint. I don't know about the other paints. I've never done oils, and I have no desire. Don't get me wrong, oils are beautiful and they're time consuming. Maybe if I retire, it might cross my mind. So I am kind of going horizontally. Is that right? Yeah, horizontally across my my canvas. I just kind of like the flow, as you can see, it kind of helps with it, which way, the direction that I'm going, kind of adds to the character of the painting, right? So I think I'm about a third of a way down. And then I'm not going to rinse the blue out of my brush. Now I remember what I did. I actually started with white and then added the blue, but we're going to continue on. And I didn't rinse the blue out of my brush. I still have it in my brush, and I dip my brush in white. And so where I have that, where my blue stopped is where I'm going to add my white. Again, it doesn't look like white because it is blended with the blue. And then I'm going to Bring that on down. You can see there's still blue in there, but as I come down with just more white than the blue, it's starting to get pretty light. And we are going to bring that white up into the blue. And I mean up, I mean we're going to add some into that blue that's at the top eventually. But right now I'm going to bring the white on down. So I did, I kind of stopped short of here at the top. And if you don't stop or go down, it doesn't matter. We're going to put white on top right there. So I just stopped a little bit above where I have my bottom that's at an angle. I didn't bring it all the way down to there. I stopped before I got about an inch away from that. So now I'm blending in my white. Now I talked about coming back up. I'm going to go ahead and start blending some of that white into my blue that's in the sky. I'm not going to bring it all the way up, just a little bit. I just kind of want to blend it. I don't want to see a line between where the white started and the blue. So I'm just trying to blend it. It's going to look like a nice wintry night, hence the title of it. So you guys, the names, I come up with these names. They're not always the best names, but it's like, I try to keep it simple, and I was like, oh, I can't think of nothing. Just, I'll name it Winter Nights. Okay. So that's how I got the name of this. So just kind of blending. Again, there's still blue in my brush, and now I'm adding white. So it just kind of blends. I want it primarily get that white right there in the middle. And then that's it. I'm going to try to let that dry a little bit. Putting my brush down.
This is one of those backgrounds where you keep going and going and going, and you have to force yourself to stop.
Yeah, you could keep swiping forever. That's for sure.
I'm guilty.
All right. So we're ready to switch over to our white. That's why I want you guys to be conscious of stopping so that it can kind of start to dry a little bit. We're switching to our white paint, and we're gonna basically add that snowdrift that's there with our white paint. I'm gonna try to get all the blue out of my brush. I'm gonna switch over to that white. Have my white, and I'm gonna, the strip that you see that's white, I'm gonna paint it white. But you'll see it'll now I'm not gonna paint across horizontal like I did the top. I'm gonna do more of a dab. Can you guys see that? A little bit of a dab, a little bit of a circular motion, because I want it to be, I want to see the texture of the paint to give it that look of that it's snow. Okay. We're gonna come all the way across with that. And I'm gonna, just like this is at kind of at an angle, the bottom, the blue paint at the bottom that's kind of at an angle, I'm gonna bring that angle up into the white paint and kind of come up as well. I'm trying to avoid that blue paint at the bottom for right now. I am gonna put snow on it, but I want this to be white before I get any of the blue paint in my brush. It's okay for it to be blue, but initially I want this portion right here to be just white. And like I said, I am bringing a little bit. It's not going to be a straight line, guys. So that surface of that paint here coming up into the light blue at the top, I'm going to bring a little bit of it up just in sections, kind of chunky style, because I want it to look like a snowdrift. And the paint, it looks like the snow. And then again, I got to make sure I have this section up here that comes up a little bit higher, which is cool. Now, it's going to bring some down over top of the blue that's at the bottom. Well, actually, my blue at the bottom is actually dry, so. So we're just going right on top. But you can see that the color is still, even though it's dry, with that darker base, you can see that the blue coming through. But that's okay. Just again, kind of gives it texture, because I still want to kind of add a little bit of a blue in that white. You can just see that I just did a little bit towards the bottom. A little bit of, I'm going to start adding blue towards the bottom of the white. You guys can see that I still want to area that's totally white, and then some that's blue. And guys, let me tell you where I got this photograph. I've been kind of, I'm still shaky with it. I would like to learn it. That AI, the artificial intelligence AI, I told it, I typed in, I said, create for me a wintry scene with a small house, with a house and in the background and some sparse trees or whatever. I can't remember my exact description, but I typed in that description and this is what AI gave me. I was like, okay. So I'm dipping my corner of my brush into the blue because I want to start blending in some blue, as you can see in my example, towards the bottom of the snow drift. Okay. Some of it might be a little bit heavier places. Hi, Mary. She in? Did she come in? Yeah, there's Mary. She's in. Mary, we have a lot of it completed, but the colors are blue and white. I started with the my blue at the bottom and blue at the top. And as I came about at the top, I came about a third of a way down the painting. And then I switched to white. I did not rinse the blue out of my brush. And I started with white. And as you can see, the blue blended with the white.
Beautiful. You must be a Kentucky fan. I hope not.
Well, I didn't grow up a Kentucky fan, but my son is at University of Kentucky.
Oh, well, good for him. I know U of L won their first game last night, so that was good.
Yeah.
If everybody else doesn't realize, Kentucky is a basketball state, whether we're winning or losing. We're interested in basketball, everybody.
All right, so I'm adding a little bit of blue, like I said, towards the bottom of the white. And you can make it as light or as dark as you like. It doesn't have to be, you can make it as a pale blue, or however you want that to be. It is your painting. But anyway, I do want you, I'm dabbing the paint rather than painting it vertical or diagonal or whatever, because I want it to look, to get that texture in there. Okay, guys? And I'm grabbing my my black paint. I'm adding that to my palette now. I really don't need that much, but I always get carried away. So we're going to add our little black house and our tree, and our trees in there. Okay. So even though I have this section at an angle, I still want my tree to be vertical. So let's see, because on my original, that's not the case. Because it was kind of my snowdrift was at an angle. I painted my house at an angle, but let's see if I can do something a little bit different. So I'm shooting for straight up and down. And guys, you can switch to a pointer brush. I'm gonna paint the outline of the house first to get it anchored, get it where I want it to be. Okay. And so you can switch to a pointer brush. Actually, I switched to a smaller flat brush because I do very well with making my lines with these. So that's what I'm using. But if it works better for you to get that outline of that house, you can go ahead and use your pointer brush. Okay. So again, I am trying to make it. Let me see where I put the house. Now you can see where I put the house. There's a tree here closest to the edge. So you want to make sure you bring it over far enough to leave room for that tree over there towards the edge. Okay. I'm going to come right about here. Going to be the edge of my house. There's my house. There goes my sample. And I'm going to put a little bit of a slope on my house. You guys see that? And I'm going to put a little chimney. And now I can just fill that in. My house is a little bit taller than my example, but we can just bring the snow up to give it a little smaller feel if that's what I want. But and I'm not putting a really heavy layer. I don't need to put a really heavy layer of paint. We are going to come back and paint the window in there. So I want when I come back, I want the paint to be dry. So don't make your paint too heavy. We do move around to give the areas time to dry. That's why I like to kind of jump around a little bit so that areas can dry. So you don't want to have your paint too thick, especially where we're gonna be putting the white for our window and then also some white on our rooftop. Okay. So now, while that house dries, it's time to make some trees. And again, you can stick with that pointer brush, or me, I like my my flat brush. I just turn it vertical to give me the effect that I want. So I'm gonna start here. Maybe I should start here so you guys can see it. Make sure you can see it good. These are gonna be my trees. You guys see that? Where I made my trees. They don't have to be exact or even. You can see mines are not totally even. And then this is where you can also use that pointer brush. Now we're going to start adding. Let me show you what I mean. So the bristles or the branches on the trees, they're going to be angled going down. What are these pine needles? They're going to go downward towards the angle towards the ground. And then as you get closer to the bottom, you're going to make them a little wider, going to go out a little bit further. You guys see that? Or what I like to do is still use my flat brush and then just kind of go across. You guys I'll show you the difference after I get it on there. So it doesn't look much difference, except this one kind of goes straight across. So you can look at it like that. I just use my flat brush. So you can use that pointer brush. And just remember the ones that are closer to the bottom, they go out further than the ones at the top. That makes sense? And there's no uniformity to it. I'm just dabbing the paint on one side of the tree, dab, 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 gets a little bit out further towards the bottom, closer towards the top. Then I switch my brush over to the other side of the tree and just do the same thing, and just making sure that I angle it. My brush is at an angle so that the bristles are angled down. Now I'm using my flat brush. Now, when I go to those smaller ones that are supposed to be more at a distance, I'm just going to switch over to my pointer brush because it's a little more challenging to do this technique that I talked about with the flat brush. And again, I am just dabbing the paint. Got over here to do my. I'm going to switch over to my pointer brush and get these smaller ones. And again, there's no uniform to them. I don't want you guys to like make them even. One line on this side matches the one on the other side. They're like I talked about in nature, it's not uniform, it's not perfect. So we're not going to make ours. We're mimicking, although this is abstract art, we are still mimicking nature. And especially these ones in the far background, you wouldn't even be able to, they're basically going to be a blob. We're not even attempting to make them look exactly like a tree. They're a bit of a blob because they're in the background. They're far, far away. Okay, I'm ready to switch back to my white. I was gonna start working on my house, but just in case your house is not dry, I'm just gonna grab some paint, my white paint, and put some more snow in front of the house to, like I talked about, bringing it up. A little more white there. Snow drift. I don't know if that is needed for you guys, but I needed it for mine. All right, so I just brought the snow up a little bit more. Now I'm gonna dab some on the rooftop. Just taking my brush, just dabbing that paint on there. So it looks like, I don't want it to be uniform. I want to just look like snow. Okay. And then dab some on the rooftop, and I also want to dab some on top of his chimney or her chimney. Whoever lives there is Jimmy. Where I'm supposed to be. Yes. All right. Mine still looks a little bit more taller than wider than my example, but it's still working for me. Now I want to paint a white square, which is going to be my window. And I am using my pointer brush to do that so that I can make sure I got that right. The only reason I don't use my flat brush is because it would make the lines go further than what I wanted it to be. So I fill that in, and it doesn't have to be a heavy layer, just a thin layer of the white. It's okay. I know it's going to look like, because it's on a black surface, a darker surface, it's going to look a little bit darker, but it's okay. We are going to come back and put that window pane in there, and then that, breaks everything up. But while we do have the white in our brush, we are going to add some snow on our trees, our treetops. So let me get in close. You guys can see that I didn't cover all the branches. Just took my pointer brush and kind of dabbed in there. It's not even something there that you have to be exact where you put it or anything. You can see it's not any uniformity, or it's not exactly on this branch or that branch. It's basically when I kind of dabbed in with the black, and I'm going to do white and dab in there and just make sure there's still some of the black showing when I add the white. And so you can make those trees heavy with paint as much the way, if you want a lot of paint on them, a lot of snow rather, you can do that. Not, you can have a light snow. You guys can see that I'm just dabbing paint. I'm not covering the whole tree so that you can still see some of the branches, but I'm just dabbing, just dab, dab, dab. Dab, 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 and make sure that, like me, at first I was dabbing on each side, and that left the middle of it, the middle of my tree, just black. So make sure you can kind of come across as well. Dab, dab, dab. I don't know if you guys can see that, me dabbing. Dab, dab. Just have paint on the tip of my brush. Just dab, dab, dab. Dab, dab, dab. And guys, Gmail and Yahoo, they're changing their format on how you guys receive emails from, because I do use a service to send emails. So when you send a large quantity of emails, a lot of times they'll go to your spam. So if you haven't heard from me in a while, and you know that I post my Thursday series, make sure you check your spam. All right, buddy. Thank you so much. And I'm just going to dab, dab. You have to be watch your dabbing on these smaller trees. You don't want them to disappear. A little bit. But they look so cute back there. So even if it's not a lot of black showing, just enough, just so that you can, the mind can finish and say, oh yeah, those are trees back out in the distance. I am also going to add some to my big tree over here in the corner. Can't forget about it. Dab, 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 dab. Dabbing some white on there. This is a lot of fun dabbing on this paint. And I mean, it's like magic, you know, it's still, I like the form that it takes on. You dab in that paint, but it still looks like a gorgeous winter scene. Check. See if I have anybody on my YouTube. All right. Next. All right. Okay. So hopefully what it does, I was going to say, hopefully your window is dry, but it really doesn't matter. We're just going to, it depends on how many panes you want. I only want the 4. So I'm just going to make a T, a plus sign, and just kind of putting that paint on top. So it shouldn't, even if it's a little bit wet, you're just putting that paint on top. It's not going to bother it too much. So I did, I was kind of heavy. Put my battery saver is on. I meant to plug up when we started painting. There we go. So there you have that. What is that? That black, your paint or whatever. Just trimming it up a little bit. My black, my window. Our next step is getting ready to get kind of messy. This is my my toothbrush. I know it looks ratty, but I promise you, actually, I've never used this to brush my teeth. I bought into the Dollar Tree, and they had a pack of 6 in this neat little paintbrush case. And so I bought these for my paint party. You guys know I teach paint and sip parties. And so whenever we have a painting that requires some splatter and speckle, I bought a bunch of these toothbrushes to be available for my painters. So you can use a toothbrush or you can use a paintbrush. I'm sure you guys know how to splatter, however you want to decide you want to splatter. So I like to, I'm going to wet the brush a little bit, and it's got a lot of water in it. And I'm going to kind of let that water mix the white paint on my tray. It's the water that's in my brush is going to make it a little bit thinner, so it more fluid, so that when I splatter, it'll I'll be able to splatter better with that. And I'm just using my brush to stir the water into my white paint to make it more, make it, what word did I use earlier? Wetter. Okay. So you guys ready to splatter? Of course, this is way better if you have your painting laying down, because I have it up. So when I splatter, what'll tend to happen is the splatters will start kind of running down my page. So it'll be better for you guys to, and then watch your computer. Like my device has paint splatter on it everywhere. So you can watch your computer when you're splattering. So I'm just going to take my paintbrush, and I take my thumb and run it through the brush, and it gives me my splatters. And I didn't want any splatters on my house, so I covered my house. And so there you have it. You can see my splatters running down my painting just like I said it would. So to have your splatters. So also a little trick, if you wanted your snowflakes to be more pronounced, or if you just didn't want as you can see on my example, I did add some actual snowflakes. If you wanted that, that's entirely up to you. Is where I'll take the butt of my brush, the bottom of my brush, the butt, whatever you call yours, that, and I dip it in the white, and then I'll you should be able to get 3 snowflakes per dip. 1, 2, 3. You could get more, but like 3 good ones. And so now they're perfectly, you can see how perfect they are. That's why I love that brush. It gives it a perfect round snowflake, and they're not all the same. So like the first one is a little bit bigger, the second one a little bit smaller, because less paint on your brush. So that is also an option if you wanted to add snowflakes. It's an option, entirely up to you. How's it look, Diane?
I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, well, I'm watching you. You're my gauge, and you're sitting back, so it's like, okay, she's done.
I like it. I like it a lot. This is the first time that I splattered. I don't think in the past, either you didn't tell us or I wasn't listening, to dip it in the water and make the paint real thin, because I never used to get it to splatter. That this splattered really nicely.
Yeah, you're right. I've never said that, although that's what I can't remember if I've always done it, but yeah, I don't think I've always added the water to make it splatter, but I was like, and it worked. So I'm sharing the knowledge.
Yeah. And I got the big snowflakes just because it dripped off my toothbrush. I didn't mean it.
Yeah, so I did too. I have like puddles of it. All right. So we're ready for our spotlights, but I am going to go ahead and end it for YouTube, guys. YouTube, make sure you follow, and subscribe.